We'll see how that goes. Good morning. Good morning. How are you all? Look, I hit it pretty much just before the 9:01. The one after 9:01, isn't that a thing? So it is a Monday holiday morning. Now, maybe you're scrolling on TikTok, laying in bed. Maybe you're up doing some stuff. It's a different vibe today, though. It is. It's so funny. It's quieter where I am, and I might have said this before. Like, every day feels a little bit different. Every day feels a little bit different with the weather, with the sun or lack thereof, with the energy you have in yourself. I'm seeing some friendly or some names that I recognize going past on the little scrollerson. I say Abbott Elementary and that one persona. Wendy Rose, nice to see you. Amy Johnson, Patty. Good morning, Sherry. Nice to see you. Lisa. How about the Cult Jam? You got them, huh? Dana Reynolds, nice to see you. Thank you for the encouragement on the family tree. I am slowly but surely. I'm taking my own coaching to heart and chunking it down and not getting overwhelmed and paying attention to the details and knowing when it's time to do it and when it's time to take a break. So see you. Nice to see you. Waka waka. And Michelle, nice to see you. Mama Pepper, nice to see you too. And all sorts of folks on this Monday, September 2nd, 2024. Now, I will share, as you can see, I am outside. Boy, is the weather different from it was yesterday. Yesterday, we were invited over to a friend's house for a cookout, and it was warm, and then it turned muggy. And when we got home, I was like, I cannot wait to shut the windows and put on the AC because it was so hot and steamy out. Well, I woke up this morning, and I opened up a window, and I was like, oh my gosh, now it's cool and brisk out. So the seasons are changing. The seasons are changing where I am, and maybe you're feeling it too. And the seasons change. Seasons change. People change. What was that one? Who did that one? Anybody? That one reminds me of working retail. I didn't know who it was, but I heard it all the time because I used to play the radio. When the radio used to be a thing, they used to play it in the shops that I would work in. Just to have you here today. But yeah, it feels like going back to school time for me. This weather reminds me of walking to school as a kid. Anywhere from I literally walked to school from grades 1 to 12. And the kind of sunsetting of the summer and then the beginning of a little bit brisk, a little bit of all right, let's get some stuff done. Because to me, this is also like the shoulder season. September, October, November, December. To me, December is at the bottom of the circle of the calendar. Now, I mentioned this to you because I'm thinking declutter-wise. There's some decluttering that wasn't as easy to do in the summer that is going to be more easy to do in the fall because the weather may be cooler. Your schedule may be different. Maybe your work schedule, or you've got kids, or just maybe your social calendar isn't as big. Now, for me, because I am, in case we haven't met before, I always like to introduce myself. My name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. Even though the destination is right here, I was listening to something today that made me remind me of it's all about feeling good right here. And I know there's some decluttering that I did not do in the summer because it was too hot. Specifically, now as I said, I'm a decluttering life coach, so it would be kind of funny for me to be like, my house is a hot mess and yet I'm going to help you. That's not how I am. I have worked for a number of years figuring out what works for me declutter-wise and what doesn't work, but also knowing that working at a pace that feels right makes you feel sustainable. And what I just want to share with you really is it has taken me a while to get to where I am, but I've enjoyed the journey. Now that's maybe the difference. There's probably many differences between me and other decluttering type people you'll find in the world is I treat it like a road trip. I say move forward at the pace that feels good to you, even if it seems almost comically slow at the beginning. This is like when you learned how to drive a car. This is how you started driving. You were a little tentative. You didn't know. And you were like, oh, I don't know. That was okay. But when you felt safe to go a little bit further, you went a little bit further. And then you gain your strength. And then you realize the stuff you were afraid of, when you have the tools, when you have the skills and the tools, you're not as afraid to do the things anymore because you realize you're not going to kill yourself. You know? Remember the first time you were on the highway? My gosh, you don't start and go right on the highway. Even if somebody yells at you, suck it up, buttercup, to me that has an opposite effect. It shuts me down. It makes it worse. So I like to show up reminding you that this is your life. It's my life. Don't you forget. It is your life, and you can move forward if you want. You can stay where you are if you want. It's all up to you. But if you do want to move forward, again, I just say start moving at a pace that feels good to you, and really just start moving forward at a pace that gets you starting moving. No, I just went on a morning walk. I didn't take one yesterday. Yesterday, I slacked off of doing a lot of physical exercise. I didn't sleep well the night before, etc. I just realized I forgot to turn off my, my notifications. But I say, move forward at a pace that feels good to you, but move forward. If you want. Trust me, I'm not convincing. I do not get into convincing energy. I could share with you, and I have shared with you, the fabulous, wonderful, awesome things that decluttering will bring to your life and bring to your good feelings. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But if you do want to do it, I have a whole toolkit in the back of my car that if you're stuck, I'm pulling over next to you like AAA, being like, okay, where are you stuck? Oh, if you're stuck in your wheels, I've got something for you. Oh, you're stuck and it's something under the hood of your car, I've got something there. Oh, you're stuck because your gas tank is empty. So, where are you stuck? Okay, so Susan is saying, it's so hard to get rid of things, but I don't know why. Okay, so Susan, let me help you with this. First of all, on the beginning, ooh, it's a hot tea kind of morning, but that's wicked hot. In order to declutter in a way that seems sustainable and feeling good in the long term, being willing to look inward and say, you're saying, I don't know why. Are you willing to kind of turn inward and figure out, why could it be? Now, I will have a couple of things, and one of them is if you think it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard. If you think something's going to be difficult, it's going to feel more difficult. I've had this play out a number of times recently when I go down the street to this strength training class. I kind of dread going because I'm afraid it's going to hurt and it's going to be painful, but I get there, it's not that bad. So, Susan, what I would actually suggest you do is just kind of even calming down your nervous system. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I don't want to do it. It's going to be hard. Some of it will be more difficult than others. I'm going through sentimental clutter now. When I coach, I talk about surface clutter, stored clutter, and sentimental clutter. And I mention them in that order because you probably have some surface clutter that you could deal with that's going to feel a lot different than the stuff that touches your heart. The items that were owned by somebody who's passed. There's a different feeling in those. So let's honor that. Let's not start with the hard stuff. Let's start back up in the easy stuff. You don't start learning how to drive, learning how to parallel park. Let's start with the easy stuff, okay? But also willing to kind of turn inward and say, okay, what's the part of this process? Now, I was a art history major, and I have, kind of like Wayne Campbell in Wayne's World, had a bunch of varying, hairnets and name tags and different jobs in my life. But my last one was really played to just the way my brain is wired. Now, I have ADHD in my family, but I also have a very kind of process-oriented brain myself to say, okay, what part, if we slowed down and you and I walked through, we picked one item, Susan, picking one item and saying, okay, it's not all the clutter. There's one item that I'm kind of stuck with, and listen to the words in your head to say, all right, what is difficult about me letting go of this item? And ultimately, I'd say 99% of the time for me, you're going to have a thought, a story in your head that is triggered by that item. It's almost like it presses the play button and a loop goes on. That's the thing that blah, 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 blah. And it's a tape in your head. And the story there makes you feel a certain feeling. Now, if it's struggle, it might be like, oh, I'm going to lose that person I didn't like, if I get rid of their stuff. Like all sorts of things can come up when part of you says, I don't want this thing. But notice the tension is already there. And the tension is part of you also doesn't want the thing. If you wanted the thing and you wanted the thing, you wouldn't have the tension. If you didn't want it if you wanted it and you kept it, no tension. Excuse me, actually, let me get my hands right. If you wanted it and you kept it, no tension. If you didn't want it and you let it go, no tension. But if you want to let it go and something else says don't let it go, there's where there's tension in between those 2 points. Okay? So I say that to encourage you to say, instead of I don't know why, all right, I would say to you, this is a classic coaching thing. What if you did know? If you had to think of something that could possibly be the answer, what might it be? Now, I will say this, as I would say to all of my one-on-one clients. I ask you a question, but I don't want you to necessarily answer me kind of verbally. What I would love for you to do is the question I give you, you ask it to yourself. You pause, you give yourself a moment or 2 or 3 or however many moments to listen to what comes up in you. What's the answer for you? And then I highly recommend, so we make this as efficient as a process as possible, write down whatever comes up, write it down. Okay? Whatever comes up, you're getting insights, not outsights. You're getting insights from you as to what's in your head and what's in your heart that's making you struggle to release some things. So that's how I approach decluttering. I don't know how anybody else does it. Everybody's got their own way. This is the way it has worked for me, and it has worked for the last many years when I've been doing coaching. It has worked for my clients. So to me, if there's something I do that gets me the result I want and it feels easy and doable, I continue with it. If what I'm doing isn't working, I get curious and I say, what isn't working? And at the moment, what isn't working for me is the fact that there is a breeze going through, and I'm like, no, come on, people, it can't be winter or fall just yet. But notice what's going on in your head, in your heart, and how that affects your hands. Notice also, seriously, you guys, how I make this easy, because they all began with H. Head, and they're in the top to bottom, and from high to low. Head to heart to hands. They are all connected. You have a story in your head and in your heart that causes you to cling on to something with your hands. You could have another story in your head that made you feel a different way in your heart that would allow you to take that clenchy hand and just let go. Just let it go. You know? There we go. Kat is at 82-year-old dad's house. He's asleep, looking for space to clear while the live is on. Yeah, go to the paper pile. You know what? So I will share with you guys. So today is Monday. Today's Monday, September 2nd. Next week at this time, so I do, for those of you who haven't met me before, just so you know, I do TikTok lives a lot, and they are scheduled. But the only people who get access to the schedule are the people on the mailing list. Get on my mailing list to destinationdecluttered.com, so you just know when I'm showing up. But next week, I will be traveling. I will be helping my 83-year-old mother with her clutter, where she lives in her house. So I, too, will be looking for a space for me to do a TikTok live. And because I'm going to be helping other people, I have very few things scheduled next week. Now, I have my one-on-one clients scheduled, but I don't have any TikTok live scheduled. That doesn't mean that I won't pop up and do some. And I say this because if you think that these TikTok lives are interesting and I'm away, they are also recorded and put on to YouTube for you. Not for me, but for you. So, what do you want to talk about clutter-wise? I'm here. I talk about clutter all day. You got something that you personally are struggling with? I'm here for you. It's kind of like, I'm here. I have some tools in my toolkit in the back of the car that we're driving in together. Now, I am not driving your car. I am not your chauffeur. You are the driver in your car called your life. Cat Mama liked the clip from the attic. Now, this is a perfect example of me scheduling decluttering when it feels easier physically. I was up in my mother's house working on literally clutter from decades in my parents' attic. My parents have lived in the house, well, my mother does now, my dad passed, since 1969. And I was up there, but I was up there in April. You know why I was up there in April? And I made a plan to get up there in April because I knew that May, June, July, August was going to be too hot in that attic. Now, If the weather is like this next week when I go up to her house, I am going to go back up in the attic and finish what I didn't finish the last time. But notice what I did. I was strategic about it. I did not push myself to do it when it was super hot. I made it easy for myself. It's going to be easier for me to pull down those little foldy stairs and walk up to the attic and be up there when it's not a bajillion degrees out. Okay? So I share that with you to say, take this tool from my toolkit. Set it up so it's physically, you're feeling better while you're doing it. So then you say to yourself, what can make me feel better while I'm doing this? Now, while I'm here at home, I will put on comfortable clothes. Other people I know get dressed up when they do it. I will put on this work shirt that I have. I will make sure that I've peed. I will make sure that I don't have a headache and that I have some food in my belly, that maybe I've hydrated. Okay? I do things to make what I need to do easier. And when they feel easier, I'm more likely to show up and do them. I share that with you. That's a tool. Here, I have this tool in my toolkit. Here, put this in your toolkit. Check in with yourself physically and mentally before you even start driving. I'm looking out at my car in the driveway, so look before you start driving somewhere today, check in with yourself. How are you feeling? If you're feeling great and you know where you're going, hit the road, get going. Sooner rather than later. But if you are not feeling good and you don't know where you're going, let's work on that. Let's do some things to make you feel better. And then also make a plan so you know where you're heading when you turn on the key and you start steering. Okay? Now I love this. That one persona just said, I love using your YouTube videos while I'm cleaning. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know that. The idea to put the recordings of the TikTok lives on my YouTube was not my idea. When I started doing TikTok lives about 1.5 years ago, some person said, hey, do you ever record these? It had not occurred to me. We are limited by our own brains, but man, can we get input from other people? And I said, oh, it never occurred to me, but would that help you? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay, let me figure out how to do that. Now, there is a resource with over 200 TikTok live videos that you can pop on in the background. You don't need to look at the screen either, because the screen rarely changes. It's just my big old face. You can listen to me as you're cleaning, like that one persona. People listen to them like a podcast type thing when they're in the car. Keeping you company when you're, alone doing stuff you're not psyched about. Now I love this. Kat Roby said, got momentum yesterday just by opening a random bag that had sat there for months. Yeah. Doing something, breaking the seal, as I was talking about yesterday, opening up the box or bag you are afraid to open up, and just dealing with whatever's in that one box. Now, the cool thing is we have an awesome community that develops around here all the time. That's why with the people on the mailing list, we do a once a month kind of free Zoom call so people kind of get to know each other and realize you're not alone if you're struggling with clutter. But I love it. I don't know, Kat, if you saw that one persona just gave you a virtual high five for that. I, too, am doing that. All right, looking for ways to chunk it down. Yeah, one bag at a time. One box at a time. Not all of it. Please, please, please. I feel like James Brown. Please, please, please. Don't do all of it at the same time. Like, don't do all of it. Even when you're doing, like, your pantry or your fridge. One shelf at a time, sweet Jesus. Was that Christy Lane? I think she had, like, some sort of cheapo record that was on Channel 56. One shelf at a time, one box at a time, one drawer at a time, one surface at a time. One category at a time will allow you better control over what you're doing and how long you spend on it, and you decrease the likelihood that you will burn out. Okay? So, Joy Ginger, now this is an interesting one. This is why I am a decluttering life coach and not necessarily, and I say not necessarily, I am not a trained mental health professional. But notice the interplay between this. So Joy Ginger is saying, my family's clutter causes me to gain weight because they just ignore my requests to clean up the messes. Now, the interesting thing is about that, just notice the dynamic. You're there, you ask them to do something, they basically say no, you feel frustration and bad, and what do? And this is just my pop psychology. What do you to make yourself feel better? Something we do, many of us, a lot. I eat to make my body, myself feel better. Nobody's paying attention to me. That makes me feel bad. How am I going to feel better? I'm going to eat that Reese's cup that's sitting on my thing. But I say this, Joy Ginger. There's a lot going on there. But notice what you have control over. And you guys, you may be unaware of this because you may be used to looking outwards and pointing. And I just say, instead of pointing that way, what was that one? Somebody says if you're pointing at somebody else, you get 3 fingers pointing at you. And then that makes me think of the glove in, what do you call it? The Beatles, Yellow Submarine. But I digress. I digreg. What I say is, notice what you do have control over. Now, trust me, I am not good at this part, okay? So I'm not speaking to you from the mount. I am speaking to you from somebody who didn't have a lot of snacks growing up, so I tend to snack when there's snacks around. I like the taste of snacks. I don't like how they necessarily end up showing up on my body, but I do, when I think about it, I do have control, whether I open up that little bag of Fritos or I leave them unopened on the counter. Notice what you do have control over. You may not have control over people, but you have control over yourself. And you actually, this is not as easy to do, but it's worth examining. We all can have better control over how we allow other people's power to allow them to make us feel. I can choose to take what they are doing personally and feel bad. Or I can say, you know what, that's you. I'm going to do me, and I choose to be feeling not so bad. Okay? But notice the dynamic that's going on in that one sentence. We could go on for hours about that. But this is why I say, when I say whatever comes up, write it down. Because when you're sharing a thing right here, you have written this down. You have articulated into words something that's going on in your house. Once we have words, we can examine them and get curious and pull each word apart and say, oh, check this out. Now, I love this. Kat is saying, Casey Kasem's top 100s in a row made it so fun yesterday. Yes, make it fun, people. This is like my mantra, and I keep on thinking, I say a wicked lot of stuff, and I'm like, let's have some fun, and let's get it done, okay? We can have fun and not do anything, or we can do something, and not have fun. I like to junction-wise this, okay? I like to say, let's have fun and get it done, all right? So just notice these things. Oh, my goodness. Somebody is, I'm going to have to just stop it. I forgot to shut off my notifications. We had a bunch of people. We got together last night, and we are such a good group of people. We're always like, that was so great. Thank you. Heart. So you wake up in the morning, and you've got 87,000 comments. So I'm going to stop flicking them back because they're just going to come. Oh, now we get some good stuff here. Let me back it up here. Where's the playlist? Oh, there's all sorts of things. Okay. All right, I love it. Michelle says it helps me as well to hear your encouragement. I show up in nothing but encouraging energy. You know why? Because I know what it feels like to not be encouraged, to be discouraged from doing what you want. And that's why for the first 30 years of my life, it reflected in my life. Trust me, my parents were doing the best they could with what they had. But I know firsthand the difference when somebody encourages you. And so I just show up with that energy to say, here, you have the courage, okay? Notice these things. I am giving you the courage. You can do these things, you know? Now, this is interesting. Yeah, what can I do? Not what can't I do. I love this. Lizardo says, after watching you many times, I tackled the room that was an enormous mess, and it's clean and organized. Thank you for letting me know that. Thank you. Notice the encouragement works 2 ways. When you tell me what I'm doing is working, I will show up more for other people. I will show up more for you. So this is a lovely 2-way street. Okay? Donna Dollar has got one less bell to answer, one less egg to fry, one less man to pick up after. Who was that? That was like the Fifth Dimension, maybe? That lady who was on Solid Gold? Marilyn McCoo? Was that her? But she was Billy Davis Jr.? I don't know. See, I have a Gen X brain full of TV and radio right here. It all kind of blends together. But it's a really good combo. Fifth Dimension. Okay, there we go. I love it. It looks like there was a delay so much on these messages. There wasn't some messages, and now there are a ton. I'm just catching up with these ones. Okay. I love it. Jane Lee, rock on. I have a crawl space that I've been working on slowly. Good. There is nothing wrong with working on something slowly. Now, because you've been working on it slowly, Jane Lee says, I have 10 empty Rubbermaid containers. I love it. Okay. Now, the Rubbermaid containers, the Rubbermaid container people will not like me saying this, but I'm not sponsored by them. I am DIY, I am punk rock, I am independent, okay? Here's what I want to suggest to you. There are people out there who are going to make money telling you the solution to your clutter problem is to buy more containers from them. Buy this container. And I say there's a part of this journey where, yes, you do benefit from containerizing your stuff, but that's after decluttering, okay? You've seen these things where people have like the stacks of stuff. I suggest my method is to sort it before you store it, to see if you even need that many containers. Yeah, but I bought too many containers. Yeah, you know, and don't do that. My mother, I was thinking about this today, I think with this change of the season and knowing that I'm going up there. 3 years ago is when I started helping my mother dig out her clutter. Her basement is filled with containers, bags, folders, trays, places to put her stuff. She thought that was the answer. No. 3 years later, 90% of those containers are still there because she didn't need them. I left them strategically in the basement because she was like, well, what if I need that? Okay, let's leave it there. It's been 3 years and she hasn't needed a lot of them. Okay? I share this with you because there is an order that you can go through. There's a process. It is like a road trip. You start here, you do things in a certain order, you get to where you want to go. Okay? Notice these things. Now, I love this. Lizardo, I'm kind of backing up on stuff. And pardon me, it's getting a little windy here. Look, it's windy. Oh, everyone knows it's windy. Barbara says, think the playlist is in development. I find encouragement with this is only a mountain and clean. Everybody's got their own internal playlist. I met my friend Tom yesterday. He's a great DJ, and he has a station on Spotify. DJ Minty Fresh. And tonight I also see him. I'm lucky enough that we get to hang out with our friends again tonight. And I am going to ask him to help put together a playlist for Destination Decluttered. So if you guys want to hear some of the songs that I'm always referring to that go through my head, it could be fun. Okay? But please, oh please, make your own playlist too. Okay? Now Michelle, I love this. Michelle says, I tried to tell myself. I feel like I'm yelling and people are walking their dogs by all the time, and they're like, that crazy lady is talking to herself on her patio. Michelle says, I tried to tell myself, instead of saying I have to or I want to or I'm going to, that change of mindset. Yes. Notice, change of habit, change of mindset. It doesn't, what changes up here changes what's here and changes what goes on here. So instead of saying to yourself, you have to do that, I have to clean, I have to do the dishes, how about not even I want to do the dishes. What's the benefit of doing the dishes? Well, the sink will be empty. My dishes will be clean. My sink won't smell because there's garbage in it. It won't attract flies. When I want to go eat a piece of toast, I'm not eating it off of a napkin. I'm eating it off of a nice little dish. I want to do it because there's something in it for me. Notice that motivator. What's in it for you? If you don't see why something's not in it for you, and maybe this could be a Gen X thing. This is how my brain is wired, or I mean Gen X, ADHD. What's in it for you? Start with that. If you don't see why you're doing it, this is how I am wired. If I don't see why I'm doing it, if there's nothing in it for me, I will rarely do it. So I know that about me, and then I say, okay, let me figure out what is in it for me. You know? Now, Lily says, I hold on to clothes in case I lose weight. Problem is that I don't lose weight fast enough. Have you ever tried to encourage a flower to grow? Shit happens at its own timeline. It does. These trees in front of me, they're growing at their own pace. Those weeds are growing faster than my flowers. Honor the fact that stuff takes time and things take slower than you want. We live in such an immediate gratification society. We have lost our patience with how things happen organically. You know? So just notice there's nothing wrong with slow and low. Slow and low. Designer Donna tackled a corner yesterday and found death certificates. What? Yeah. Okay. Notice this. Notice these things. You probably have death certificates because when somebody dies, they say, you need a lot of these and you need to pay me $20 for her. So you think you need them and then you didn't need as many as I thought. Yeah? Yeah, see ya. Insight. I found I was using containers to hold things I didn't want to deal with. Yeah, I'm putting a lid on it. I don't want to deal with it. It's containerized, out of sight, out of mind, but it's not really, because you look at that container and you have x-ray vision. You know there's something in there and you're going, I don't want to deal with it, don't want to deal with it. I would do that with both my hands, but I'm keeping my hands warm. Okay? Containerizing the problem still means there's a problem in the container. That's what my brain just said. Heidi D, I'm glad you like the wind chimes. Yeah, we got those from my my parents-in-law when we first moved here. They remind them of us. All right, here we go. I'm backing up here. Yeah, Jane Lee, that's what I do too. Jane Lee says, when I donate, I give them in the containers too. Yeah. Well, here's a funny thing, LPKO602. But notice the thought, but if I don't have the containers, and put little quote marks around it, if I don't have the containers, then I can't finish the job in a day, and that's hard for me. Rome was not built in a day. There are some projects you will get done in a day, and there are many more projects that you will not begin to do in a day. And some projects, if you try to finish them in a day, at the end, when you're out of energy, you're going to get sloppy, and you're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be the quality of work that you want. I know this because for the past few days, I've been decluttering my family tree and my notes that I have piled up for the past 10 years. Because I worked on it 10 years ago. 10 years ago goes by like this. And I start out strong and I'm focused and I have energy. And just like driving your car, the gas tank empties the more you move forward. Now I could keep pushing myself and do another branch. And I said, no, I'm going to stop. And I'm going to get some gas in my tank. And tomorrow I'm going to show up and do it. But notice that your thoughts in your head sometimes can work against you. Okay? They can do that. Yeah. Neurodivergent Mama is saying, yes, that's my problem. I don't think anything's a problem unless you decide it is. I think you have gained insight. I think I need stuff that isn't needed like one day. Yes. Just waiting for the simmer down now. Simmer down. Okay, simmer down now. Shh, it's okay, leaves. Okay, now it's quieter. Many people, I will say this, neurodivergent Mama, it is a common thread. If you've done TikTok lives, if you showed up to every single one of mine, you're going to hear your pattern recognition in your brain is going to be like, oh, that's when people say, I am holding on to this in case I might need it someday. So common. You are not alone in that thinking. But that is just kind of almost like a standard issue thought that has been given to you. But is it really true? Just look at the stuff you have saved. It might be true. I don't know, but it's worth examining. What are some things that I have saved that I thought I was going to use that I used? Cool. What are some things that I have saved thinking I might need this one day that I have yet to use? Get curious about those too. Okay. No, Cat Roby says, I wish we could post progress photos during these lives in the comments. You know what, Cat Roby? I say the best thing to do in this instance is it doesn't matter really what it looks like. What's better is to communicate how it feels to be in rooms, how it felt before and after. Because the look is only part of it. Sometimes when I look at people's things, it doesn't matter what it looks like to me. It matters what it feels like to you. Okay? Yes, I get to do the dishes. You know, I love this. I get to wash them because we had the food on the dishes. Yeah. And here's a good one. Where was it? Boop-a-doop. I'm backing it up. Heidi D says, I cleaned up my kitchen last night. It was relaxing waking up and walking into a clean kitchen. Yeah. You're doing this for tomorrow you. The person who wakes up and is like, oh, look, my mugs are clean. I have tea bags. I can put on the kettle. Polly, put the kettle on and we'll have tea. I'm a little teacup and all that. You know? Yeah, Pop-Tart Mama 19. Yeah, it makes it so hard to get rid of stuff, but really just, here's what I want to suggest. I do this myself, and so does my husband. It's how we were brought up. You can't get rid of that. You might need it someday. So just ask yourself, not with judgment. Here, I'm putting the hands. The hands are like, get me involved. I want to show them. On the one hand, you have a thought that's making you hang on to something. You can also just get curious and ask yourself some questions, and that might allow your hand to open up and be like, maybe I can release that. So say to yourself, when was the last time I used that? Look in the past. When's the last time we used that crock pot? Am I going to use it today? No. Am I going to use it this week? No. I might use it someday. And again, keep the judgment out of it. Do not judge yourself. It's going to shut down your answers. Calm down your nervous system. It is a safe space to examine your thoughts and get curious. Well, are we going to use the crock pot in September? No. October? No. November? Maybe, like for Thanksgiving. Okay. December? Yeah, probably in December because we usually have that party where we make the meatballs. Okay. Is it taking up enough room? Is it worthy? Could we make the meatballs in something else? Yeah, well, I guess we could use. But you know what? We don't have enough, like me, we have so much room that we have very few objects that we keep. So we've decided it's okay for us to keep the crock pot because it's cool and it's vintage and I love it. Even though we use it maybe once a year for the meatballs, the grape jelly meatballs at our Christmas party. And we haven't even had a Christmas party in a number of years, but someday I might want to have that Christmas party again. So I keep it, but notice what I did. I made a decision. I walked myself through the decision-making process, and I came out at the end feeling good about the decision I made to keep the crock pot, even though I barely use it once a year. If you go through the decision-making process and just get curious about stuff, you may discover that there are things that you were hanging on to that you don't want to release, that you're going to be able to release. Okay? So notice those things. Neurodivergent Mama says, I love your rationality. Here's the thing. I know what it's like to be dramatic and hear the stories and and then, well, what if this happened? Shh. Low and slow. We're going to calm down the nervous system. We're going to quiet down and we're going to slow down the words in your head. They're like little kids talking 90 miles a minute. I can't understand you. What are you saying? Slow down so I can hear you. And what you'll basically find is there is fear behind a lot of the stuff that's making you hang on to stuff. There is fear behind you hanging on to stuff. And the opposite of fear to me is love. Love yourself enough to release the stuff you don't want. You know? Notice these things. Now, Missy56 just said, I just threw out a lot of stuff and I never miss it. Yeah. Yeah, if you look back on the TikTok lives that I recorded in the past year, when I talk about stuff we may need someday, we had one of those Instapots that my husband thought he wanted because he tends to do more of the cooking in the house. I am very lucky in that respect because I am a boring cook and I'm cool with it. But it was a journey to get him to be cool with releasing it. Now we don't even miss it. You know? There we go. Yeah, Erin joined at the right point. It's always the right point. Realizing I have to do small chunks at a time. Yeah, Erin, this past few days, I've been working on decluttering my family tree. I have chunked it down to different branches. And I realized yesterday, even when I had time, I didn't have energy. It's going to be a balance, you guys, between the energy you have and the time you have and doing the best you can when those things are aligning and being cool with saying, now is not the time. I am empty. I don't have the time. But I will do it another day. Okay? And I say, loving your rationality, slow down your words enough so that you can document them. As I said, whatever comes up, write it down. Stenotype it. Get that stuff out of you so you can examine the words, the instructions that are running your life. Are the words in your head that make you feel a feeling. And a lot of it is like you're doing it the wrong way. It's not fast enough. You're too slow. You're doing it wrong, blah, blah, blah. A lot of that unhelpful shit just keeps you stuck. That's why I show up, on the other hand, from this side of encouragement. Don't discourage these people. They are doing great jobs. This is not easy stuff, especially if you're not used to doing it. Whenever you've learned something, you've been slow and kind of stunk at it at the beginning. Walking, singing, dancing, driving, whatever it is, you're going to suck at the beginning. You're going to move slowly. If you get discouraged early on, you will give up. I know. That's how I was, because I didn't realize that you need to just be loving yourself through the struggly parts until it clicks. And then you do something a little bit better. And that aha moment of, oh, I can do this, that aha moment is fuel to help you go through the next rough patch. And then I can do it. And then you find out there's a lot of stuff you can do. Now, maybe it's taken you decades to realize this. It took me decades. I'm in my 50s. But better now than never. Okay? It's now or never. All right, Cupcake Mama says, I have a storage unit for 5 years. I need to clean it out. Okay. If you and I were on a consultation call, I would just offer this. And thank you for sharing your specific example, because here is a perfect example of how much your clutter is costing you money-wise. Now, I get paid for my one-on-one coaching with people, and yet I say, okay, you're paying for a solution, but you're also paying right now to avoid the problem. 5 years of storage, 12 months in a year, so 60 months. How much is your monthly rent on your storage unit? Multiply that by 60 and notice how much money your stuff and your reluctance to make a decision on it can cost you. Now, I don't see anything, to me, there are times when storage units are really helpful. Temporarily. But long term, somebody's making money from you and your clutter. You know what? I don't want that for you. I don't like it when people are making money from people but not allowing them to get solutions from it. That's why I feel good about charging for my coaching, but I also am actively teaching people a skill so they don't need to pay me for the rest of their life. So they learn it and then practice it and then practice it and they're good and then they fly the nest and they have that skill for the rest of their lives. This is a temporary situation. Coaching with me is temporary. It's not one of these keep on things. Okay? So know these. Notice what quality of life is your clutter costing you? Yeah. Alice Schaefer, I have 4 units. It is terrible. And my goal is to get rid of one in September I haven't touched. Notice this about your stuff that you haven't touched, you guys. Your life is going on without you even having that stuff in your life. That is a very low level but powerful decision, saying, my life goes on without these things. So you've kind of already made the powerful decision that you don't want that stuff. But notice there's a tension there. As opposed to just going in and easily being able to get rid of that stuff, there's tension. Coaching helps you discover that tension and resolve it. If you got a problem, I'll solve it. Yeah, I couldn't afford the storage unit. Yeah, but you know what? You're storing it in your house. And when you store it in your house, see, here's the interesting thing. Talk about containerizing the problem and pretending you did something about it. And getting the stuff removed away from you lessens the energy because it's down the street. It's away. It's in King of Prussia versus in Valley Forge or whatever. It's away. But you're still affected by that stuff no matter where it is. It's so much a better feeling. If it's close to you in your house, it's right there on you. It's bugging you every day. You can pretend you did something when it's away in a nice kind of rectangular box, but you still haven't dealt with it. You know? Yeah, notice the scariness. Neurodivergent Mama is saying getting rid of stuff is scary. Fear, the umbrella of fear. Notice when it's scary. Everybody, get curious about what you're really scared of. Notice that, here's a funny thing, I'm always talking about the voices in my head that make me say, don't do it, it's scary. When I turn around to actually see the source of that voice, it's always a little kid strapped into their car seat saying, don't do it, I'm afraid. What is there to be afraid of? Now, I say this in a gentle, loving tone because I know myself, we are afraid of stuff, but the clutter, there's things to be afraid of. We're all afraid of death. We're all afraid of living a life that wasn't, fulfilled. Being afraid of getting in trouble for letting go of something. Notice the fear stops you from letting go of something, but the thing you don't want to let go of is not, the thing you're hanging on to is something you don't want to begin with. There's tension there. You know? Oh, now let's see. I'm going to back up here a little bit. All right? Love it. People helping each other. People helping people. Good stuff. Yeah, decision making. Decision making, neurodivergent mama. Decluttering is decision making, okay? Deciding to declutter. Deciding what kind of life you want. And then doing something about it. Now, I don't say this like in beating up, but at a certain point, you have to take action to get the life you want. Everybody who has a life they want has done something, good, bad, in between, whatever, to be where they are today. You have made decisions that have gotten you to where you are today. On the map, on the side of the wall at the Jersey Turnpike, when you pull in to go pee and you see this map and you say, you are here. You have driven on many roads to get you to this point. This point right now, you have a choice. You can continue driving on that road that's getting you where you don't want to go, or you can do something different starting today. And that is going to change the trajectory of where you are. And if you do it with strategy, which is a fancy word for thinking about stuff ahead of time, you say, I want to get to there, but I'm here. How do I get to there? And then that's your destination. And you say, okay, I can make decisions all along the way to keep me going or to veer off. This is how it works, people. And I can help you with this. This is why I do the decluttering life coaching. This is why I do one-on-one coaching, 10-session packages. Now, I would be talking about that more, frankly, but right now, I don't even have any time in my schedule to do a consultation or to sign up new clients. When I do, you'll know about that, especially if you're on my mailing list. But just know that there's help out there for what you're struggling with. This is how I coach people. You know, this is how I coach. And I sometimes look like this too. I don't dress up in a suit or anything like that. Yeah, now I love this. SC Native says, it's difficult, but feels lighter and better when you start. Yeah, like anything, it's getting started can be the hardest part. You know? Now, Tricia says, I keep some things because I'm afraid to forget a memory with that object. I get it. What I want to offer to you, Tricia, and to everybody, there are different ways you can keep the memory and not have to keep the object. You can record yourself telling the story to yourself. You can then put that recording into something like otter.ai. It can type it out for you. You can have a book. You can tell the story to somebody else. Hand down the stories. Yesterday, I did a TikTok video about me going through my family tree. I wish I didn't have the stuff. I want the stories. I want to know about those people. Because when you die, the stories of the stuff goes with you. They don't know what that mug meant or not. If you bought it at the Goodwill or David Bowie gave it to you. Nobody knows except you. Share your stories. Write them down. You don't need the item. You can take a picture of the item, write a caption, save the picture and the caption, share the info with people on the internet, in a book, with your friends, draw a picture of it. There are so many ways to save the story, not just keeping the item. Okay? Yeah, Sia says, I think I associate some sentimental clutter as proof I was loved by my grandmother and dad. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, but just notice what is happening here. There is an object you have that triggers your brain into starting the tape recorder that says, I was loved. Evidence of I was loved. I'm married, I'm loved. I forgot to put on my wedding rings this morning because I take them off at night. Just because I don't have the rings on me does not mean I'm not loved or not married. It's just a physical thing that represents a feeling. A physical thing that represents a feeling. What's the feeling that your stuff represents in your house? I will share with you, if a lot of it is clutter, it's representing crappy feelings because you wouldn't want to get rid of it if it told you good stuff. Why hold on to crappy stories? We have plenty of crappy stories in our past, people. We do. How about not bringing more on And how about just releasing all of them? Just let it go, let it go, let it go. And then notice in the future, when a bad story seems like it's coming up, stopping it before it gets too big. Or deciding, I choose to feel differently in this situation. As I said, I'm not just a decluttering coach. I'm a decluttering life coach. Okay? So notice these things about yourself. You know? Yeah, otter.ai scrap lever 150. Google it. I learned about it when I was taking my coaching training. It's like you can record something and then it just transcribes it for you. And then it's an AI type thing. So you put your words into it. Like for example, when I do a podcast, there will be a transcript. It's going to be automatically generated based on, like when I do a TikTok live here, it's the same thing. It takes my words and transcribes them into the captions, something like that. Yeah. All right. I love it. Lisa says, that's what I'm doing with all my mom stuff and my own story time. Cat Mama says, now this is interesting, was given a journal at Christmas by my nephew, haven't started it. Okay, maybe journaling isn't for you. There are so many other ways that you can tell these stories. Find a way that feels easy. I know myself, even though I've written books before, that me speaking is easier than me writing. So if I ever decide to write another book again, I will speak that book. And then I will put it in Otter AI, and then I will go through and I will edit what I wrote, but it will literally come from my voice. You could do a video. You could be like, here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to take a walk around my house and to do a video and tell my nieces and nephews, oh, this is a piece of artwork that we spent a lot of money on when we were on vacation. This is a piece of artwork we spent $12 on in a thrift store, and it's on the back of Uncle Cliff's CD. This is a thing that could be worth a lot of money. Notice this. You might want to check this out if I'm dead. You can have somebody record the tour of your house so that they have a document to know the stories behind something. And then you could watch that video. You can keep it private. So many different ways to keep the story and let go of the stuff. And to feel good that people know the good stories. I wish I knew more stories about my family tree. That's why I'm saving stories. I am telling you, people in the future are going to know how awesome I was in my family because I'm going to document that shit, right? But I'm not going to leave them items. Oh, here's a silver fish fork. Now, the silver fish fork meant a lot to them because silver meant a lot back to them. Nowadays, we're in a different world. I want to be happy. I don't want stuff. I want to be happy. We think stuff's going to make us happy. The clue is to be happy without the stuff. And I'm freaking happy. But I also love my stuff, but I have the right amount. Okay? Notice these things, people. There's stuff you can do to change the direction of your life. And here's a funny thing I will share with you, because I'm on TikTok as much as you guys are, maybe more, who knows. I scroll a lot. And I saw somebody, in 6 months, you're going to be unrecognizable. That feels kind of weird because there's stuff about me I like. I don't want to be unrecognizable. What I want is to slightly decrease the stuff that isn't working for me and slightly increase the stuff that's working for me. So I'm a better version, not a complete different. Because when you're unrecognizable, I heard this once from a coach, it's like you're basically kind of killing off your previous self. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to lose some stuff that's not working for me and increase doing the things that does work for me. Now, Danielle is saying, stuff makes me annoyed. So notice that. When stuff bugs you, get rid of the stuff. You get rid of the buggy feeling. You also know that a certain amount of stuff doesn't make you feel good, so you stop it coming in. Yeah. A Neurodivergent Mama says, I have many hobbies and stuff for hobbies I love. Because of too much stuff, I can't craft. Yeah, notice the quality and look at the quantity of items in your house is stopping you from living the life you want to live. Notice that your stuff is getting in the way of you doing the things you want to do. I love it. So Scrap Over 150 is took a shower and now eating while listening to this TikTok. Rock. Now here's the funny thing. I can't do the thing and do the thing. So what I'm going to do, about ready to conquer an area? Awesome. In 5 minutes, I will shut off this TikTok live. I will then go in. I will eat something. I may take a shower now or I may not. But I'm going to go conquer an area. I'm going to go get into another branch of my family tree. And I'm going to have energy in my tank and excitement to do it. Yeah, no, I love it. Danielle has noticed change of habit. I've stopped going shopping for fun when I'm bored. Yeah. Neurodivergent mama, just to get back to the hobbies and stuff, part of some of the neurodivergency is the fun and the anticipation of being the person who's crafty. So we buy all the stuff. But then when we go to do the stuff, we're not doing the stuff. Get curious about that. Maybe you've already been like, I'm done. I don't even want to have the end result. I don't even want to do the thing. But it was fun thinking I was going to be this crafty person. Look at me, I can make these things. Nothing wrong with that. But notice how if you still want to do the crafts, you haven't made space in your life for it. Now, neurodivergent mama, I do this all the time. And just so you know, while I'm not a mama, I have no neurodivergency in my family all over the place. Also in my clients. I realized recently there's this movie called The Abyss from back in the day where people were breathing in water, but it was oxygenated enough so they could actually breathe through it. That's how I am in the neurodivergent world. I probably have a strain of it, but it allows me to breathe and know what's going on there, but also be focused enough to guide you through it. I'm not the blind leading the blind. I am somebody who's got one eye open, both eyes open. I have been there because I used to think I was going to be crafty. I enjoyed buying the things. There was a coupon. My God, I spent so many. I used to think that buying the thing would make me be the person. No, it didn't. If anything, it just made me feel worse when I wasn't the person. So, hey, Carla Jane, nice to see you. Hi there. I just woke up but wanted to pop in. Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to you as well. About to get out and cut stuff down. All right, perfect example. Okay, so first of all, Labor Day. You're going to be doing stuff for the rest of your life. You're going to be laboring. Work towards something good. Work towards a life you love. Do some things to get it so your home is someplace you love to live. Yes, shiny object syndrome is a real thing, but when you're, hold on, TikTok, I know, I'm going to sign off momentarily. I was so in. Notice how I get distracted, but I'm going to come back to it. Shiny object something is real, but it only truly distracts you when when the shiniest of objects, your destination, is not saying, well, that's kind of something, but I really want to go here. When your destination is not as compelling as the momentary distraction, you will allow yourself to get distracted. But when you're like, oh, I get that this is happening, but man, I really want to get to Palm Springs. I know we're having fun here, but I really want to go to that place. You will practice and learn to focus a little bit more than you do now, to notice when you are being distracted and getting yourself back on the road, and notice these things. And you can do something about it. Neurodivergency is not a death sentence. It is a starting point to say, this is how my brain is wired. How do I get the life I want using the brain I have? Now, trust me, I literally saw a squirrel moments ago. And I was like, okay, do I want to say squirrel and make a joke? Or do I want to continue focusing on the people that are listening to me? I chose to not be distracted, notice it, but not buy into it, and stay focused on you guys. Yeah, Mommy Salami, totally working towards democracy. Hells yeah. All right, so working on finding the balance of stuff. Yes, get the balance right, as Depeche Mode said. Not too little, not too much. Depeche Mode and Goldilocks, I think it's time for me to sign off. Not too little, not too much, but just right. Get the balance right. The quality and the quantity of stuff in your home that has you living a life you love versus dragging you down. Yeah. Now, Cheryl can't afford new stuff, so I hang on to what I have. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But notice the stuff you're hanging on to that you're not using, that isn't lifting you up. If you're using stuff, it isn't clutter. Clutter's the stuff that drags you down. Clutter is the stuff you don't want, but you're afraid to let go. Okay? I love it. We're signing off now. Kat Roby just said, paper sorted. Rock on, okay? Now, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. You too. But remember, today is a Monday. Today's the beginning of the month, and tomorrow is like a new day too. You can choose at any time in your life to do something different to change the trajectory of your life, okay? I'm going to show up tomorrow and do another TikTok Live. People on the mailing list know, I feel like I'm getting blown away right here, when it's going to be. If you want to know when my TikTok Lives are this week, sign up for my mailing list. DestinationDecluttered.com is my website. That's where you sign up. It's free. And I will see you when I see you, okay? Oh, now I got to get rid of all those. Bye.